dead. I am alive, and I will be back to lead the NDC to victory in 2012. Those were the words of His Excellency President John Evans Atta Mills when he left the shores of Ghana for his medical examination and medical checkup within the last week. And then he returned, as promised, on Monday to a rousing welcome at the Kotoka International Airport by faithful appointees and then the party officials who gave him a very rousing welcome. Tonight, to help me in a discussion about the president's return, we have Ras Mubarak, who is an NDC youth activist, and again, he is the parliamentary candidate for the Ablekuma North constituency of Ghana. Yeah, of Greater Accra, exactly so. And then Ras Mubarak has been very, very active at the youth front. I remember reading a lot of articles from him when he was far away in Oslo, in school, until he came back. And then he's been very active at the front of the NDC, and through the hard work, he's been able to win the slot to represent the NDC come December 2012 to become the parliamentary candidate for the Ablekuma North constituency. Tonight, you're going to have a very interesting interaction with Ras Mubarak, and also I have a very young lady who is also a youth activist. Tonight, the show is centered around the young men and women in the NDC, and then you can always trust that His Excellent President who appointed the young men and women did the right thing in giving us the money, the opportunity to serve. I have Victoria Hammer, way back in the University of Ghana, very active student leader, right from the SRC General Assembly in 2006. After today, she is with the National Democratic Congress, and also she's also lacing her boots to be more active in the partisan politics and the party politics of the party. So in the coming months, we'll be seeing a lot more and hearing a lot more from Victoria Hammer. She's also a member of the communication team of government. So tonight we are discussing the president's return from the United States of America. And before we go in studio discussion, let's take a short clip. Welcome back, cherished viewers. That is a short clip of the return of His Excellency the President from the day he left and then the time he came back. And then yesterday he was at the party headquarters to meet with party executives. Let me begin with Ras Mubarak. Ras, you're welcome to Majority Caucus.
Thank you very much indeed,
this
Felix.
Is your first appearance?
This is my first time on the show.
Yeah, we'll be seeing more of you in coming weeks, especially once the campaign hits up.
We trust we can, take time off our busy schedules, to be on such platforms, But let me salute my very wonderful constituents, the good people of Ablekmanov constituency who are yearning for change in Ablekmanov constituency, who are encouraging us in what we are doing, and who are determined to make sure that for the first time in 16 years, the NDC annexes the Ablekmanov constituency seat to bring about development that, are quite monumental and tangible. Okay. So on that score, to everybody in Ablekmanov constituency watching us tonight, I salute them, and we really thank them very much indeed for their support. In your introduction, you mentioned something about about young people, and I think that is the hallmark of the NDC. That is what puts us apart from our opponents. Whilst we make sure that we encourage more and more young people, give them positions of responsibility, our opponents are doing, something else. And, this tradition dates back into the 80s, when the PNDC began, when we had people like Uncle Atuahoy, who was 36 when he was plucked into government, when we had people like Totobi Kwachi and others, who were very, very young. And today we are seeing the same tradition. President Mills, in keeping in the tradition with the NDC, has indeed, encouraged a lot more younger people into positions of responsibility. And it's encouraging. For me, these are the sort of things that scare our opponents. These are the sort of signs that, indicate that our opponents are well out of touch. Because you have a president who's encouraging younger people, a president who is fit and well to run the campaign, and somebody else who is just about criticizing just about anything else. Because what our main political opponents seem to be doing is to oppose everything that the NDC does and propose nothing.
Every reasonable thing that the NDC
They propose everything and propose nothing. And for us, it's quite unfortunate. I was at the airport when His Excellency President Mills returned from his medical checkup. It was exciting. It was exciting to see him fit. It was exciting to see him again go to the national headquarters, to exhibit, to showcase his readiness for battle. And indeed, there's no two ways that, President Mills is going to lead us into victory in December 2012, in spite of all the scurrilous things our opponents are saying about us, in spite of the spin and propaganda and twists and turns that they seem to put out in their, to borrow Martin Amidu, in their rented press. It would not fly. I mean, to say that somebody might have gone for a medical checkup, so he ought to resign is complete madness. It's simplifying the issues. First of all, it is human to be ill. I mean, we all get ill every now and then. And President Mills is well into his 60s. With age comes, a certain level of fatigue as well. Don't forget the job is quite demanding as well. And I mean, if that is anything to go by, if age is anything to go by, then we should rather be worried about Akufo-Addo becoming president. Because by the time Akufo-Addo, in the unlikely events that he wins the next election, by the time he completes his first term, he would have been 72. Now, how many of us young people want a president who is well into his 70s, who, who is completely out of touch? We are talking about the Facebook, Twitter generation. We are talking about, a generation of people who are impatient about a lot of things and who want to see more and more of their peers in positions of responsibility. So for me, if the MPP, if our opponents are making an issue of the health of the president, they ought to be, first of all, showing us proof of their candidate's medical history. That's the first point to start with in any way. If you say somebody is unfit enough to lead, let's see your candidate's medical history, then we can have a debate. But I also think that, I mean, let's not behave as if being ill is, abnormal. It's human to be ill.
Something that is very strange.
We've had people in positions of responsibility over time in some of the most advanced countries, and I'm going to catalog a few examples to you, who have held positions of power and had fallen ill. Some of them had even suffered stroke. Some of them had to, undergo surgery and so on and so forth. You know, and what our opponents seem to forget is that there is nothing in our constitution that says, you know, you cannot run for president if you're not feeling well.
Yeah.
The constitution is clear. If the person is incapacitated and in a position that makes him unable to carry the duties of president, then the constitution is clear what ought to be done. Is the president incapacitated?
No.
A big no.
Yeah.
So what is the problem? As long as he can perform duties of state. I don't see the hula baloo in some of the things.
Okay, let me come to Vic.
Vic,
we witnessed a lot of our supporters who thronged the airport to welcome His Excellency the President. What do you make out of that?
That's very encouraging. Beyond NDC supporters, there were clearly leaders, for example, Ayariga of the
PNC.
The PNC presidential candidate, and he was there. And he made emphatically that he was there, one, on humanitarian grounds, and to deepen democracy. And that's what we need in this country. But the question is, the president has been traveling a lot of the time. Why this time around people troop to the airport? It's the circumstances around his traveling. We all heard the rumors. I mean, before even now, I mean, the last election, we heard that the president was dead.
When he was dead, South Africa.
Yeah, that he was dead. And we heard these rumors again. Ghanaians were worried. This is a man we wake up to. He leads our country, the vision of the NDC, the vision by which the people voted the party into power, his mandate towards the people. And then you wake up to hear such a very disgusting rumor. And what does it show? It shows utmost aggression towards coming to power.
And the way the NPP held on to the rumors
it's very unfortunate and very sad. So then meaningful Ghanaians were worried. It's very unethical in the first place in our cultural dimensions or setting for anybody to wish, death wish on anybody.
Absolutely.
It is wrong. So when did we start, breaking ethics? Because of our selfish desire to come to power. That is very wrong. So when we have other members of the opposition, opponents to the NDC, leading members of the opponent party to the NDC, coming to the airport to meet the president, that is encouraging. It means that there is still hope in this country, and that our country is not determined in an all-die-be-die, to take this country into a war zone. So that is very encouraging.
Vic, yes. His Excellency the President returned, and then he made some promises at the airport that his doctors have given him a clean bill of health, and that from there he was going to work.
I think it's important we make a clear distinction between checkup and treatment. Now, checkup, I think doctors recommend that once you're 45 years old, you should have it at least once in a year. And once you're 60 years and plus, twice in a year. So the difference is that when you're going for a checkup, it means that at that point there's nothing wrong with you medically because there's no medical basis to that. But then treatment means that you have the diagnosis of something and you are taking treatment. So then that's the difference. But even if it's the case that the president sometimes gets ill health, so what? In the past 4 years, how many Ghanaians have not fallen sick? In the past 4 years. You understand?
Even
I mean, as healthy as I look, I remember I was just feeling dizzy and I realized that I was anemic. I went to hospital and I was like, wow. So trying to play politics with people's health and even wishing them death and all that, it is totally unethical and it should not be encouraged by any means whatsoever. But then that also tells us about the state of mind of our opponent, towards these elections. And it's very unhealthy. Professor Mills has gone through elections a number of times. He had lost the elections, he had conceded defeat, and allowed the democratic process to go on. So why can't people just allow the processes to go on? Election is coming, you have the opportunity to relate to the masses, tell them your agenda. If they want it, they buy it. If they don't buy it, and they want to retain Professor Mills, which is the case, let them do that. And it's very unfortunate when you find the background to all this. I mean, before this death wish and all this came about, the gurus of the MPP, coming up and all sorts of comments, led by Nanado, Nanado is a fine gentleman. So, and he's a man who commands respect. Let's say about 4 million Ghanaians listen to this man. So his pronouncements are very critical and important. And to the surviving of a democracy. So when such a man says, all die be die, you're calling for war. You calling for war.
It the minds of the people, the supporters, towards a certain direction.
Nanado is not me or you or me, or you and I, you understand? This is a man who, the mass of the people who believe in the philosophy of the MPP. And it's good to have multiple party and ideologies and people, in a healthy competition, gaining power. So when such a man make this pronouncement is very, very not too good. And obviously, remember, Kennedy Japan, you know, was also inspired by the old Ivy Die.
Comments and made some other
and they're also terrible, very, very interesting. Not beyond that, I think that's quite genocidal. I mean, history tells us, recent history tells us about what happened in Rwanda. You know, we wake up in the morning to listen to news and what thousands and thousands of people massacred on the street. We cannot encourage that in Ghana. I mean, history has taught us, recent history as well. Ivory Coast, what happened there in Kenya and all that. So it is about entrenching our democracy, and that is wrong. And I'm sure these are all signs of an unhealthy competition that the opponent is trying to win.
Let me come to Ras.
Okay.
Yeah, Ras.
Let me, you know, take it up from where Victoria ended, and the competition. It feeds into the desperation of our opponents, and there's a clear indication of a party that is out of touch as far as gaining the leadership of Ghana is concerned, as far as understanding the genuine needs and concerns of the people of Ghana are concerned. You know, and for me, when you have a political party that says that, a party whose leader says that we have to win the next election by any means necessary.
At all costs.
I mean, we in the NDC should not be surprised. We should not be surprised because they want to win it by fair or foul means. That is what
the modus operandi.
And these are the modus operandi. You know, these are the telltale signs of what they intend doing. You know, some of these things should not come to us as a surprise at all, because when they say that they want to win the election by any means necessary at all cost, it includes communist inferior tactics. You know, and I'm encouraged by the president's tenacity and resilience. I'm encouraged by the fact that he's showing the way that he's ready to go. His visit to the party headquarters was instrumental. It spurred on a lot of our supporters who were excited to have seen him at the party quarters. Is the go sign for the election 2012, and there's no turning back. The president is hitting the road, running, and we would demonstrate that this is a president who is as fit as a fiddle. Now, Felix, there have been a lot of people in the most advanced countries who have held positions of responsibility and have fallen ill. There's a musician from Jamaica. His name is Winston Foster, a.k.a. Yellow Man. This man was told he was going to die in 1986 in 6 months. Almost 20 years on, the man is still living. JFK apparently was, you know, from records that were released after his assassination, was apparently a sickler. And we have had people like, you know, Dwight Eisenhower, you know, who fell ill, who was operated on, who had a stroke whilst being a president, and yet got re-elected to rule or to run the affairs of the US of A. In 1981, Francois Mitterrand, for instance, was also elected French president. It came out that he had cancer. Francois Mitterrand led France for 14 good years. And, you know, we can go on and on. There are examples of people like Warren G., also a former United States of America president, who was president and had fallen ill whilst being the president of the US of A. It did not stop him from performing the functions of governance, because there are clear indications what needs to be done in case somebody is incapacitated. So I don't see, I mean, I appreciate our opponents are obsessed with President Mills.
They want him out of the way because they see him as a major blockade.
He's their biggest threat. I mean, it was a huge mistake bringing on Nana Akufo-Addo to face President Mills in the first place. They had a candidate in Ireland and they blew it. And he's not going to fly in this election. With all due respect, a man of, you know, sterling legal background, but as a president, he's hawkish. As a president, I mean, some have said they would not be able to sleep soundly
with him as president.
His
own friends.
And you know, who wants all these belligerents in a country that is growing in its democracy, in a country that needs, you know, to be goaded towards a direction that would bring about relief for all the people of Ghana. You know, so for me, let them say what they want to say. The most important thing is that we ought to be focused on the Better Ghana agenda. A lot of these things are distractions. When the president visited the party headquarters, what did they say? They speculated that the president had gone to the headquarters to inform party gurus of his intention to resign before the...
Why should even people think about that?
You know, that is a desperation. That is the fact that they can't stand the fact that, look, you know, Mills chimes with a lot of people. Mills appeals to a lot of people than the candidate they are presenting as the alternative to Mills. And for me, these elections, aside being about character, is about a president who will lead Ghana peacefully and a president who would lead us into all sort of things.
And we find that in Mills?
We find a candidate who will lead Ghana peacefully in Mills. It's about voting Mills for peace and development and about voting somebody else for something else. Somebody else who want to win power at all costs at the blood of Ghanaians. These are not things that we...
Can I start from where he ended? He kind of catalogued number of head leaders, world leaders who were even ill, and then they were still in power and then delivered their mandate. I think somewhere, I'm not sure, but Mubarak, the former leader of Egypt, was almost assassinated in Addis Ababa. Okay, and what happened? There were rumors that he was dead. When he went to his country, the whole country was in a standstill to welcome him. Religious leaders were there, public personalities and all that. So then, what does it tell us? That why can you be strange?
A founding member of the MPP, Mr. Isi Boateng, in the Ashanti region in Kumasi, said on Kesben FM on Saturday on a program called Democracy. He said that the God who gave Atamos to Ghana is a rather wicked God. You know, that's what he said on radio.
Let me tell you,
what kind of mindset is
when
that?
people are desperate with greed and aggression for power at all costs, they can do anything. People
to the extent of even slamming the God Almighty in heaven?
It shows the extent of ignorance. I mean, when a man does not have proper understanding of himself, and this is it also displays or reflects the ego that characterizes the personas of our opponent. The whole party, historically, this is a party that thinks that they have the right, you know, by birth, a scriptive right to rule. And then Ghanaians say that, you know what, we believe in a man like Mills.
Who is more humble.
There's a man of the people. I mean, look at him. Do you remember? There were the same MPP people who were saying that Mills is a good man, a very good man, but in the wrong
party. And then they flip
all of a sudden turn around, you know, to accuse him of being a bad person.
And the same people say that this man is cannot be touched with corruption, and he's a very decent man. He's worked in IRS, and he's never, you know, and all that. So they sang a tune for us, and it's true. Mills is a very humble man. Anytime I listen to him and I watch him, and I know we're blessed as a people to have such a person as a leader. Not much can be said about the personality of Nana Ado. I mean, his own people have betrayed the intention. That before then too, the issue that came up that members of the government went to the airport, you know, and
they left their jobs and all.
Abandoning their jobs and all that. I'm just wondering. Ministers of state a number of times are called on emergencies. Outside the working hours? Did they say that what?
They're invited to state functions.
And all that,
funerals.
the accident that happened at the N1, what happened there? Joe Gidisi was there for well about 5 hours, from 6 p.m. to almost midnight. Outside working hours, what do people say? I mean, even that time was between 12:30 and 1 was lunchtime. So then people can have the luxury to choose what to do with their lunchtime.
And you see, one of the things that have come up also is the question that our opponents are asking, that if Mills is sick, he should declare his sickness. I mean, but
the president says time and again that he's fine, he's okay. Why wouldn't they listen to the president?
Felix, there are not even hard and fast rules about these things.
Yes, I know. I mean,
you know, in '81, I mean, imagine JFK. If JFK had told the public, told the American public that before his election that he was sick, he would have lost the election.
Okay, all right. Let's go for another short break. Okay, Grass. Let me pick you.
And some may decide to make public their health status, others may decide not to. You know, John McCain, for instance, before his party's primary, at the last election, made his health status public. But we are saying that there are no hard and fast rules to this.
But interestingly, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, who wrote Chasing the Elephant to the Bush, in one article, he says the president should declare his health status for Ghanaians to know. And he flip-flopped.
He's not even obliged.
3 or 4 days later to say that nobody should do politics with
the health of the president.
So I keep wondering what accounted for the flip-flopping in less than 4 or 5 days after he made that particular statement.
What happens with a lot of our friends from the MPP is that, you know, they ought to be reflecting instead of talking.
Okay.
You know, so they talk before they reflect. And when they realize that, you know, they have goofed, they come back to retrace their tracks.
Okay.
And for us, it's not a big deal. Issues of health are exclusively private issues. A president may decide to make his health status public, all well and good. Some may decide not to. But the fundamental issue still remains that if our friends from the MPP want to make the health of the president
an issue,
they should first give us medical record. They should make public medical record of their presidential candidate.
Then from there,
and then we can have a debate.
Okay. Okay, all right. Then we come to Rasmussen. Rasmussen, the young men in the NDC seems to be making a lot of inroads as regards the future of the party. I mean, a lot of people look up to people like you and other young appointees within the party, and they have hope that the youth in the party indeed have the future of the party at heart. And tomorrow, whatever happens tomorrow, we'll still see a lot of vibrant young men and women who'll be out there to defend the interests of the party and keep the party alive, you know, until we keep winning elections, because the ultimate aim of any political party is to win elections. For you, as a young man who wants to win the votes of the Ablekuma North constituency and represent them in parliament, what are your plans for the constituency?
Well, first of all, we, the young people of our country, cannot let the people of our country down.
Okay.
For me, as a young man, what I think is that when something is not going well in your community, or in your country, or in your region, and you decide not to do anything about it, you are making the problem worse. Because by the very act of your inaction, you are exacerbating the problem. And that is why I felt it was important to get into politics, lace up my boots, and clean it up. I'm into politics because of love of country and because of a sense of community that Ablekuma North constituency has given us. I think the young people of our country are the future. When in 2000, we had a lot of people in positions of responsibility who were not younger people, we lost the election. When we put forward a lot more younger people on our campaign in 2008, we won the election. So what it means is that the youth ought to be taking part in the process, in the decisions, in shaping the future and the destiny of our country. When governments contract loans, for instance, it affects generations unborn. So it's important for us to be a part of that process that would make sure that tomorrow's generation are also protected. And for me as a young man, there are a lot of people in Ablekuma North constituency, more and more younger people, who need opportunities. I mean, I keep asking myself that for all these years that the MPP has held a seat in Ablekuma North constituency, how many of my constituents, how many of the people who live in Kwashiman, who live in Dakuman, in Odoko, Otaten, and Sakaman, how many of the people who live in Aoshi have been assisted, you know, to go for further studies, either for a degree or a diploma or for a second degree?
Building the capacity of the people
building
in
the
there.
capacity. Is our surest way of reducing poverty. Is our surest
that is capacity
way,
building.
Absolutely. Is our surest way of making sure that at least we take people off the poverty ladder. And that's why I am so excited about what the government is doing. As much as we are investing a lot in primary education, alternatively, we are investing in tertiary education. And that is the difference between us and our opponents. For all the years that our opponents were in power, there was very little investment in tertiary education. You can't talk about the number of polytechnics or universities that they established. But we have a record of making higher education, publicly funded higher education, accessible to the people. But somebody may ask, what about people who don't have access to education, who, you know, or who don't want to go to school, but who also have to live? What is sustainable for this country is to get more and more people in technical vocational training. And that is why I'm so excited about programs by the NDC, programs like Let's Step, which in partnership with our private sector is helping more and more people who have vocational training, you know, to improve upon whatever they are doing, because that is sustainable. We all cannot sit behind desk and build this country. So our focus is to provide opportunities for the youth. But there are also underlying fundamental problems in Ablikwanov constituency that have bedeviled us. One of them is the perennial flooding. These problems ought to be tackled, have to be tackled head on.
And you, as the parliamentary candidate, when you win the elections, you spearhead that.
We will tackle these problems head on, because what almost everybody does is that, you know, they focus on central government to release funds to get things going. But the time has come for us to look outside and think outside the box. I mean, there are so many institutions, even within the European Union, that could give funds for climate change mitigation, because when it floods and people's homes get flooded,
it becomes a problem.
It becomes a problem. It creates poverty. There's a fund sitting out there that we just have to go and access these funds. Again, we can also rely on people even within the community, businesses, big and small businesses within the community, to help take away some of these problems. Because when it rains, people in Sakaman, people in Aoshi, people in Odoko and Kwashiman and Kwashibu can't sleep. They are restless because, you know, their entire life savings would be washed away. And these are problems that need to be tackled head on. I've heard my opponent go about saying that, oh, it's not an MP's job to build roads and spearhead development. And I think this is a clear indication of somebody who's completely out of touch. An MP's first job is to make laws in Parliament. But aside making laws in Parliament, you can't say that is the end of your job.
You need to lead the development process.
You need to lead the development process. You need to lobby. You need to spearhead. You need to lead your community into taking away some of the problems that have bedeviled them. And if he's unable to do that, then he's certainly not fit to lead the people of Ablikwanov constituency. That is why more and more young people are looking up to us for the change that is certainly going to come in December in Ablikwanov constituency. No doubt, our work is well cut out for us. It's not going to be an easy. It will take us a lot of work to win the Ablikwanov constituency. But I want to assure viewers that with their help and support, we will win the seat. And when we win, we will provide the kind of leadership that has been missing in Ablikwanov constituency over the last 16 years. My brother, it takes innovation and creativity to get these things done. For instance, somebody may ask, how are we funding our campaign? For my campaign, it's just one Ghana cedi donation from our constituents and people across the country. People who simply text RAS to a short code, which is 1962. RAS to short code 1962. And by texting RAS to 1962 on MTN, Airtel, and Expresso and Vodafone, you donate 1 cedi to my campaign.
Oh, I see.
Imagine if you get 100,000 people texting into it.
So you have money to fund
run the campaign. These are innovative ways of solving problems. And we would use innovation to solve the problems.
Let me come to Vic. That is very impressive. Let me come to Vic. Vic, for you as a young lady, within the political system and within the milieu, where do you see yourself in coming years as a young woman?
Before then, I would like to say that truly I have been around with Ras, and I see that the people see him as a vehicle of hope and transformation. He's done incredible work there. And this is what the NDC has been talking about. And this is the vision of Professor Mills, when he encouraged participatory democracy, encourage young people to get involved in politics. It's very encouraging. And I will say congratulations to you on
Thank you very much. She actually lives in my constituency.
Oh, I see. That's
So that's very good. And it reflects what is happening in the party. Today, a lot of young people find the NDC very attractive. When you ask them, I have done a research on that, and I'm coming out with a documentary on that. They say that NDC is a very attractive party. NDC has spaces for the ordinary Ghanaian. And then it comes back to the wall of ideology. It's a party that is for the people, that believes in the social and economic democracy, that believes that the ordinary person is important and must be involved in the political process and must also benefit, in the larger sense of it, the resources of the country. Unlike our opponent, the MPP, which has been the mantra of property owing. That's very true. Then what does that lead to Ghanaians? The mass of the Ghanaians, what does that lead to them? It's true, they are property owing people.
It's a very selective ideology.
When MPP came to power, we saw the mass of accumulation of properties, even in Accra here. We know it all everywhere. So then the people, the young people who want change, who want hope, who want development, who want to feel that they're Ghanaians. I mean,
see the NDC more as a vehicle on which they can
it's an absolute vehicle. And so people want to make choices. Some of these young people may not probably have an understanding of ideology. But then they see the character of the party, and you can look at it even from the how elections are run and from the leadership in itself.
So it's a party of opportunities?
Opportunity
Absolutely.
and participation.
Okay.
This man is a very young man.
Okay.
You understand? Young man, and he has got the platform to lead the constituent of Abekuma North. You can't tell me that the old people, they are more than the youth.
Okay. All right.
They are few, but they are many.
Okay.
And also, and you also realize that the NDC is very committed in encouraging more women into politics. Yeah. It is clear the president promised 40% of women participation. But we must also understand that a lot of Ghanaian women find politics a very... Absolutely
it's a black sport.
People tell me, I've been involved in, politics, student days and now. People
you
tell
need
me,
to encourage your colleagues to come
you're
on
so
board.
attractive, why are you in politics? And I'm saying that because I'm a Ghanaian, and I feel I should be part of the process, so that together we build a healthy society for all of us. Okay. So then there's a challenge. But then we are committed to that, encouraging young girls and giving them understanding, political education, and then by that, we vamp their interest. That's speaking English.
Okay, let's go on the line. Hello, Dawood.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Dawood.
I'm highly appreciative by your program. I'm highly impressed about the presentation of your panel. We are very grateful.
Sure.
First of all, I want to thank the president for making this day historic in Kumbungu here. Ras Mubarak know the very place Kumbungu is.
Okay.
And we are highly appreciated that the president finally gave us a newly born baby. That's he created the Kumbungu district.
Okay.
We are just from the
inauguration,
and we are still inspired.
Okay.
About the action.
Okay, that is the beginning.
The Better Ghana agenda.
Yeah, that is the beginning of good things.
More good things.
Pardon? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying that is the beginning of great things to happen in your district, in your new district.
I'm very, very sure. I'm very, very sure. I can see that. We are very impressed about this coming exorbitant youth engagement.
Exuberant. The exuberant.
What do you call it? Politics.
Okay.
But my advice to them is that they should be very careful. We are proud of them and we always praise them.
Okay.
But anyway, they are reacting to the old age. They should be very careful.
Okay, Dawood. Okay, we say thank you so much, Dawood. Let me go to Wa. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, this is Admuda. Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. But I think it is very sad that you got Ras Mubarak to talk about the president's return, because here is the same person who criticized the president, and you think he's very credible enough to come and convince people that he has not spoken bad about the president. In any case, the president is a major concern to all of us, and we need to know, because he was the president. Yaradua was the minority parties were complaining, even his party people were complaining. He had interest in that. Why is it that when it comes to him, he doesn't want people to talk about his health? He doesn't want to declare himself. I think it's very bad.
Okay, all right. Okay, Adamudu, but the point is...
people must be credible.
Yeah, but Adamudu, yes, the point is that chapter is closed, is gone, that phase is over.
I can even
I think you come for the reactions. Let me pick the next caller. Do I have a next caller? Yeah, hello, in Bolga. From what to Bolga? Hello?
Yeah, Inusa, calling from Bolga.
Yeah, Inusa, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening to your people there, Ras Mubarak in Victoria. Yeah, good. You see, when you listen to Ras Mubarak, very youthful person speaking and the lady there, Victoria, it's good. Yeah, but my problem is that, you see, Ghana, everything will push to politics. And it's not good. It will not help the nation.
Okay.
Just look at what the flag bearer of MPP, Nana Akufo-Addo, said to the president, wishing him well. I think at the end of the day, people were just lambasting this man, which is not good. It will not help.
Okay.
The president of the nation is his mate in school.
Okay.
And I believe when the president arrived, you could hear from him. He thanked the people who wish him well. And I believe Nana Akufo-Addo is part of them.
Okay, so all right. Okay, that is your belief, Adamudu. Inusa, sorry. Thanks so much. Let me pick a caller from Kumasi. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Muniru.
Yes.
Yes, good evening, Muniru.
Good evening.
Sure.
I'm very sorry to hear that you were telling Ghanaians that President Nelson is healthier than Nana Akufo-Addo.
Who said that?
What made him to confuse that? What made him to confuse people that President Mills is more healthier than Nana?
You had that on this show?
Because he said, no, he said Nana to bring his health business.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he's saying that one is healthier than the other. So I think...
No, if he's saying Nana should also bring his health, then he's meaning something.
Okay, well, that is your interpretation anyway. But you proceed, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry I lost him. Let me pick the next caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, I'm Afisia calling from Aflau.
Okay.
Right. I want to contribute to the program.
Sure. You're on air.
Yes, I very much appreciate the programs, and I feel that President Mills needs to retain power because he has helped a lot of Ghanaians.
Okay.
His contribution to Mother Ghana is very enormous. And I believe that the youth that he has brought on board is a mass participation at the grassroots level. And we, the youth, we appreciate that.
Okay.
So President Mills is the president of Ghana, and we appreciate that.
Okay, all right, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, but make sure you donate to Rasmovera's campaign if you have the money.
I will do just that.
Okay, all right,
just that.
Okay, thank you. Hello? Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, Satyafa is our last caller. And then let me come back to Ras if you want to react to some of the comments.
Yes, indeed, Felix. There was a caller who talked about the fact that I had been critical of the president in the past, and for that matter, I was not credible enough to endorse the president. And I think these are people who do not understand the cut and thrust of politics. Yeah. Felix, in 1996, the president, John Kufuor, then candidate Kufuor, went into one of the bitterest political primary with Mr. J.H. Mensah, in which J.H. Mensah told delegates that they should reject Kufuor the way they would reject rotten cassava.
Yeah, I recall that vividly.
It didn't stop President Kufuor from working with J.H. Mensah. Yeah. Akufo-Addo contested John Kufuor. It didn't stop him from working with him. In the 2008 U.S. primary, Joe Biden told Americans that Obama was not fit enough to lead Americans. It didn't stop President Obama from working with Joe Biden. In any political contests, even in family traditional things, you are bound to have people express divergent opinion on who should lead and who not to lead. But as long as that contest is over, everybody joins the winner and support him. That's the hallmark of a true sportsman. And what we are doing is to support Mills. If they are saying that it is bad enough for me to support Mills, then they should tell Alan and all those people who competed against Akufo-Addo that they should also sit aside and not support.
Okay, let me come to
their flag bearer.
Your
to add to what Ras said, but I think it was a fallout of the Youth Congress.
Yeah, I think that chapter is closed.
At Sunyani, but it's within the NDC history, so it's closed, but it's worth mentioning. And there were legitimate concerns. There were people who felt that the process was not too fair in representation of the NDC democracy. So even I remember the president issued a call for investigations into it. So it shows that the president, irrespective of the concerns that people raised and all that, he thought was wise enough that as a leader of the party, he reconciled the youth front. And that's what has been done so far. And NDC is quite formidable in the youth front towards mini victory and maintaining Professor Mills in power.
Okay, on that note, let me say thank you to my guest, Ras Mobarak, who is the parliamentary candidate for Ablekman North constituency and who is also appealing to you for support. It is RAS representing Ras to 1962. On any network, you donate 1 Ghana cedis to support his campaign. Be part of change, be part of a good story, be part of the youth movement of the National Democratic Congress.